Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight, dieting, and constantly feeling like you're starting over with nutrition and fitness? Do you wish you had more energy? Do you want to lose weight and finally keep it off for good? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse. I too have been there, and at the age of 44, I decided I was done with fad diets and chasing a lower number on the scale. I was so tired of constantly starting over and wondering why I couldn't get lasting results. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best formula for women who want to build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, the scale, and your body, let's build your formula for feeling your best. If you're new here, make sure to check the episode details for the link to my newbie starter guide. You'll receive an email straight to your inbox with everything you need to start building your Feel Your Best formula. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello, welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. I'm Lil, and I'm so glad you're tuning into today's episode. It's going to be a good one because I know 100% of you out there listening, you have experienced exactly what I'm going to talk about here today, and we're going to talk about it, and we are going to have a little aha moment, I'm sure. So, before we dive in, I would appreciate it so much if you could leave me a 5-star review. It just lets other people know this is a podcast worth listening to. And if you're brand new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on whatever podcast platform you listen to make sure that I show up in your feed. Okay. So today we are talking about something that, like I said, we are all guilty of this, and that is keeping ourselves stuck because we refuse to see a solution that is right in front of us, like right in front of our face. I'm sharing this because I do this too. And I had a big aha moment the other week where I literally laughed at myself and going, Lil, why are you so dumb? How did you not see this? And it's so silly. But it's also so common to be unable to see these really simple things that are right in front of our faces. So here's what happened in my situation. Again, we're talking about, we have a problem and we're just going, why, I want to fix this. I want to do this a different way, a better way. And we don't see anything really popping out at us. And we're like, why can I not feel better about this? Okay. And then when we finally figure it out, or maybe someone helps us figure it out, I'd say that's a huge part of what I do with my one-to-one coaching is I get to take the bird's eye view and help you see these areas where, you have these blind spots. So in my situation, this is what happened. So I was doing my weekly review, which I do every Friday. That's one of my 4 essential routines that I suggest that everyone add into their lives. It makes your life so much easier and more organized. So I won't go into the details of what that is exactly because it's on plenty of other episodes, but I was doing my Friday review. And when I got to the part where I'm kind of talking about my workouts and my food and like how I'm feeling about the way I'm doing things, I just realized, I've just been kind of stressed about my workouts. I've been kind of here and there fitting things in, not really feeling like I have a solid schedule. I've had really busy mornings, and I even had a week where, I didn't get my full 4 workouts in. I just did 3 workouts. And I really prefer to be a lot more planned and organized because the easier you can make things for yourself, and being planned and organized makes things easier, the more likely you are to follow through. And I didn't like, it felt very hodgepodge. So I work out 4 days per week, which sounds to me now like it should be so easy, because when I was in the depths of, being obsessed with working out and eating healthy and all that stuff, I was working out 7 days a week. So 4 days a week shouldn't feel that hard. But it did. And part of that is I'm in physical therapy 2 mornings per week. I've had other appointments that I've had to go to for myself, my kids, and I've had some early morning client meetings where that's the best time for my clients to meet is, 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. or whatnot. And of course, I'm going to accommodate those. And it just was getting a little messy. So I thought, well, how am I going to fix this? I only need to work out 4 days a week. This cannot be that difficult. But I just kept hitting a wall and I was just feeling kind of stuck. It felt like getting the 3 workouts in was pretty easy, but I really wanted to make sure I was getting that 4th one in. That's where I was struggling. So I was looking at my calendar and then finally it hit me. I just need to work out on Saturdays and Sundays. And that's 2 workouts right there, crossed off the list, right? And then I only need to find 2 days during the week to fit in those other 2 workouts. But here's the thing, the reason why I wasn't able to see this for a couple weeks, because this wasn't just, a one-time thing. I was kind of feeling not so great about my morning routine, basically. The thing is for some reason, a few years ago, I just decided that on Sundays I do yoga. And I think it was during quarantine when that kind of started for me, where I just decided Sundays are my days for stretching, doing yoga, things like that. And just kind of saying I'm not doing, a strenuous workout on Sundays. And when I was trying to figure out how, what is this like best workout schedule for me while I'm still in physical therapy and trying to figure things out, the Sundays was just sort of a non-starter. Nope, can't do Sundays. Got to figure it out the other 6 days of the week. And I was so fixated on this and not able to see the solution is obviously workout on Saturday, workout on Sunday, and then do maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. Done. So easy. All right. And there's a reason I was having a hard time seeing that solution. And we're going to talk about the 5 reasons that you struggle with seeing the solutions that might be glaringly obvious to someone else kind of looking at your life. And they would say, well, why don't you just do this? But for some reason, when it comes to our own lives, we struggle and we get these blind spots. So we're going to talk about that. And I think we've all seen this as an outsider looking in at other people where we can see the solutions for them, even though they can't. Maybe you have a friend that's in a really bad relationship and you're thinking to yourself, hello, the solution is to just not date this guy anymore or divorce him. He's horrible. Like, move on with your life. And it's so easy for us to see that, right? They may not even see leaving the situation as an option on their checklist of ways to fix a situation. That's not even an option. Or maybe you have another friend that's always broke, but orders takeout all the time, spends money on luxuries they can't really afford. And as an outsider, you can see, hey, this is a very easy solution. Just maybe stop buying, luxury handbags or stop going on vacations for a while. If you're complaining that you're broke and you don't have any savings, that's a real easy fix, but they don't see it themselves because of the perspective that they are coming from. And when it comes to dealing with our own issues, we all have that problem and it gets messy and we can be our own worst enemy. Okay, so let's discuss the 5 reasons why we as humans can have a really hard time just basically getting out of our own way and creating the solutions that are actually right in front of us. Like, it's not that hard. And someone else might be able to see it very easily, but we cannot see it for ourselves. So let's dive into that. Number 1, cognitive biases. Our brains are prone to various cognitive biases, and this can cloud our judgment and prevent us from seeing obvious solutions. For example, confirmation bias. This leads us to seek out information that confirms the things we already think we know. and ignore evidence to the contrary. I mean, I feel like this is something we've seen a lot over the past few years. Someone presents you with solid information that the thing that you believe is just patently incorrect, but you're so invested in believing whatever it is that you just cannot see any other different way of looking at it. Similarly, you have anchoring bias, which this causes us to focus really heavily on just one piece of information or piece of the puzzle, and it prevents us from considering alternative solutions. So if you've been stuck in diet culture for years, you have a lot of cognitive biases coming into something like maybe working with me, where I do so many things differently than all the other diet programs out there. And I basically have to deprogram you because so many of your thoughts and beliefs are just coming from cognitive biases where, the things you think about weight loss and healthy habits and the scale, all of those things, you just view them as facts in your head. And it's really hard for you to wrap your mind around a different way of thinking about those things. And I'm speaking from my own experience because it took me a really long time to break free from all those thoughts that I had that were basically created by living in a society of diet culture. So just for example, this idea that we should always be eating low calorie and under 2,000 calories if we want to be healthy and lose weight, that was a big one for me, that I just assumed I had to be eating 1,200 to 1,500 calories. And if you listen to this podcast, you know that that is silly and not true. And I had to break free because in my head, it was just a fact, right? And when we believe something so strongly, it's really hard to think of doing things differently. So cognitive biases really prevent you from seeing the solutions that are right in front of your face. Okay, number 2, this is a huge one, especially when it comes to fitness and nutrition. Overcomplication. Okay, we overcomplicate things. And often people have a tendency to overcomplicate problems. It just makes them seem more complex than they really are. And this can lead to overlooking simple and straightforward solutions that are right in front of them. Overthinking can obscure clarity and prevent individuals from seeing the obvious answer. For example, I recently had a discovery call with someone who's interested in learning more about my coaching. And right now, she's doing this incredibly complicated program where literally every day she eats a different amount of calories, different macros. She does a different kind of workout, and she has to focus on how many calories she burns during that specific type of workout. And I was listening to her, and I was probably making faces because it made my brain hurt. Thinking of every day waking up and having to do all these complicated things, it was just like this crazy scientific experiment. I just couldn't, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, literally none of this is necessary. And here's the thing, is she going to get results? Yes, definitely, because she's doing the basically, if you want to get results, you have to eat a certain amount of calories based on the results that you want. You have to eat a certain amount of protein, and you have to do activities and workouts that leads you towards that goal. And she was doing those things, but then she was doing all these other things on top of it, adding all these other things to it based on this isn't something she created. She's paying someone a ton of money for this super complicated plan. And I'm thinking to myself, you could get the exact same results, like doing things so much more simply. And why do we buy into these overcomplicated things? It's because we just assume that it's got to be difficult. It's got to be hard, because if we're not doing it right now in our day-to-day life, we think to ourselves, it's just got to be because it's so complicated. And so when I'm ready to actually be healthy and lose the weight and get fit, it's going to be complicated, right? So I'm going to have to pay a lot of money. I'm going to have to do all this crazy stuff. And that's how I'm going to get results, because I can't possibly do it in just my day-to-day life right now. That'd be weird. Otherwise, I would already have those results, right? No, it's got to be complicated. But here's the thing. Anything that's that complicated, it is 1000% unsustainable. And I don't care how amazing your results are for the short term. The only way you're going to make a long-term solution is by creating some very disordered behaviors. Like if you're doing that for a long time, you're not really living a day-to-day life that allows you to truly enjoy and make on-the-moment decisions. You're kind of trapped by all these rules that you're trying to follow because you think you have to do it to get these results. And as I've said a million times, my goal is to help you make habits easy, because that's how you stick to them. When they're hard, you cannot stick to them. It's just very basic human psychology. But human psychology is also thinking that something that is very complicated and difficult is going to get us better results than something that's simple. It's just the way our minds work. And unfortunately, it's not true. And the solution can be right in front of your face, but you dismiss it because you don't think it's complicated enough. You want to think to yourself that if it really was that simple, then I would already have the results that I want. And the reason I don't have the results that I want is because I haven't committed to this complicated thing yet. Okay? All right. Next, let's talk about having a lack of perspective. And this is where people can get stuck in their own perspective and viewpoints, and they fail to try and see things differently. It's basically just being narrow-minded. And when you're narrow-minded, you have a really hard time finding solutions. It can even go so far as to someone saying something like, this is just the way I am, or this is just how the people in my family are, or this is just how I've always done things. Like, those are the most unhelpful things you can say. And if someone is really this narrow-minded and they just believe, oh, this is the way I am, nothing I do can change anything, then yeah, nothing they do is going to create change in their life, because they're not even going to try, because they don't think it works. And they're just going to get themselves in this loop where they don't do anything. And so they keep getting the same outcome over and over and over because they just don't even try. And so, yes, in many ways, that is actually true. They are keeping themselves stuck. So I think that this can be very pervasive in families. And I even have certain things in my family, certain things like I was always told that, oh, we come from a family of night owls. No one in our family wakes up early and wants to wake up early. And I believed that for a very long time until I had a child that was not a night owl. My oldest son has been waking up early his entire life, even as a teenager. I mean, he still sleeps in, but he has no problem waking up early. And I have a feeling when he gets through his high school and, college years, he's going to be one of those people that just naturally wakes up and gets stuff done in the morning. So I became a morning person when I became a mom. And I resisted it for a very long time just because I had that belief in my head of I'm not a morning person. Well, I am a morning person. I really like getting up early. I like going to bed early. I don't like staying up late anymore. And I changed. When I used to be someone that would stay up till like midnight, 1 a.m., things like that, just on a regular basis. So if you're going to sit there and say, I'm not even going to try to get up early because I come from a long line of night owls or whatever, you're just keeping yourself stuck. Like, just try it. And don't just try it once or twice. You got to try it for like a few months and just see what happens and see who you can become, no matter what that is. I'm just using the example of waking up early. But ask yourself, why do I think this way? And who put those thoughts in your head? Someone put those thoughts in your head. You didn't put those thoughts in your head. Someone put those thoughts in your head. And so often having this lack of perspective, this narrow-mindedness, is because we've clung to something that someone else has told us about ourselves. So something to think about, because that's a tough one. I think out of all of these, this is the toughest one, because it's almost like you think it's in your DNA to be a certain way. Okay, next let's talk about emotional attachment. Emotional attachment to a particular outcome or solution can blind you to alternatives that might be more practical or effective. Fear of failure, reluctance to change, or attachment to past methods can all get in the way of your ability to see a clear solution that's right in front of you. And honestly, I think this is what was going on with me. I was emotionally attached to this idea of my yoga on Sundays. But once I saw that doing a strength training workout on Sundays and doing a shorter yoga session during the week, which I could be more flexible with, was the solution, then everything changed. And it might sound funny, but I really looked forward to that yoga on Sundays for a long time. And I was just kind of emotionally attached to what I thought that meant for myself. But this attachment was getting in the way of what needs to be a bigger priority. And that's my strength training. My strength training is my number one priority when it comes to my health and wellness. My strength training, and then my activity level, and then my flexibility. So once I saw that this was the solution to just move around this yoga day, everything changed. And I've been doing this for a couple weeks now, and I'm so much happier. I have so much more flexibility, and I did not lose anything by giving up my yoga Sundays, right? Okay, so what is our final number 5 that we're going to talk about? It is tunnel vision. This is getting in the way of you seeing what's right in front of your face. I mean, think about it, tunnel vision, like you're like a racehorse with blinders on. Sometimes individuals become so focused on a specific aspect of a problem that they don't even consider the broader implications or alternative approaches. And this tunnel vision really limits your ability to see the bigger picture and identify the solutions that are outside of this tunnel. So this is a great example of the scale, where if you're going to let your fear of seeing the scale go up prevent you from building muscle, nourishing your body, and working on body recomposition, which is that's what you say you want, right? You want to get lean and toned. Well, guess what? You got to build muscle to do that. And the scale's going to go up when you build muscle. So this tunnel vision can really get in the way, because a lot of women, as soon as they see that scale going up, they're just like, I'm getting fat. I can't do this. No, because they have the tunnel vision on what they think the scale means, right? So you have to let go of that tunnel vision and allow yourself to see what's outside of that tunnel. And if it's going to make you avoid the things that are really going to make that change that you want to see, then you can see how tunnel vision just really stops you from seeing the solution that's right in front of your face. Okay, so let me ask you right now, what solution are you not seeing that is right in front of you? Do you have a problem that you're like, I really want to feel better about this certain thing, and you've just been coming up against wall after wall after wall when you've tried to create a solution? I bet you there's an option that's right in front of you that you are just not even seeing. Are you letting confirmation bias about dieting, health, and wellness get in your way? Are you overcomplicating things and don't believe it really can be quite that simple to build better habits? Do you have a lack of perspective and need to surround yourself with better information and people who are going to support you moving in the direction you want to go? Are you emotionally attached to things that are holding you back? And do you have that tunnel vision that we just talked about? These are all ways that you could be holding yourself back from seeing the solutions that are right in front of you. And it just sounds so silly to me now that in my mind, I wasn't even considering switching my workouts around and giving up that yoga on Sundays. But so quickly after making that switch, I'm thinking this was such an obvious solution. And I'm telling you, it took me far too long to be able to actually see it. It's crazy. It's crazy how our mind works, and it does things in a way where we feel like we're protecting ourselves, but really all we're doing is being the obstacle. We are our own obstacle. We cannot get out of our own way. And addressing that before you start worrying about other things is really going to be helpful for you. Asking yourself, how do I need to get out of my own way? How am I being the problem, right? Because once I realize I'm the problem, guess what? I can also be the solution. So at the end of the day, if you want solutions, it means doing things differently. And sometimes the hardest part is just being aware and questioning those automatic thoughts and beliefs and commitments that are just so solid in your mind. And if you are not questioning them, then it's time to question them. Okay, so that was a really, really important topic. And I feel like this is one of those episodes where I'm going to get messages from you guys being like, oh my gosh, Lil, I wouldn't even realize I was getting in my own way here. So I just really hope that maybe even listen to this again, because it's going to help you work through maybe some things that you're struggling with. All right, that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you back here next week. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to check the episode details for my new listener starter guide, and any additional resources mentioned in the episode can also be found in the show notes on my website. You can always find me on Instagram at macroswithlil, and for more healthy lifestyle tips, recipes, and information on my one-to-one and group coaching services, make sure to check out my website. All the links can be found below. If you know someone else who is ready to start building their formula for feeling their best, please share the love and send them a link to the podcast. I hope you found today's episode helpful, and I'll see you back here next week for a brand new one.